Hey everyone, welcome back. The Leagues have rotated. Great League Remix is now here in the Go Battle League. It's a meta that bans the top 20 Pokemon available in the Great League and tries to make it so the meta is a little bit different from what we normally see. You know, they always say they ban the top 20, but Shadow Gligar somehow made it in, and Medicham somehow got banned, so I don't know quite where they get their data from, but, you know, for the most part, it is a different meta. There's a lot of interesting picks that can work, things that used to be good, things that honestly have never been good that can be viable here, and today I'm going to take a look at Registeel. Registeel is one of the more technical Pokemon in the Go Battle League. It has absolutely no fast move pressure, but a ton of charge move pressure. So let's take a look at the battles and see how good Registeel can be in the Great League Remix meta. Alright, getting into game number 1 here, let's take a look at our team and see what we're running. We have the Goodra lead with a Registeel and a Poliwrath in the back, so a little bit weak to Gligar in the backline. We generally want to keep our Goodra around just in case Gligars could be lurking in the back. But here in the Goodra Mirror matchup, we kind of just have to play it out. Our fast moves rip through each other. The charge moves don't do that much damage, as you can see, but we're going to throw our Aqua Tail, try to win this matchup, or at least whittle this thing down, so it's not going to be too big of a threat in the back. We can swap our Poliwrath in now, just in case there is going to be that Gligar, get a bit of an energy lead, and hopefully bait it out here. They come in with a Clodsire into our Poliwrath, so while they can resist our fighting type damage with our fast move, we have both Icy Wind and Scald, which are going to do a lot of damage as charge moves. I'm going to bait the first move here. They do end up shielding it as well, which really makes me wonder what could their third be if they're going to shield this. If they bring this in the first place, it's probably going to be something weak to Poliwrath in the back. You know, things like Quagsire are very common. It could be a Quagsire, maybe a Registeel as well. So we'll just have to see, hopefully save our Poliwrath as well, because if we're seeing how much damage we're able to do here just with the Icy Winds, we want to keep this Poliwrath alive. And we were seeing also, they're running Sludge Bomb, right? They weren't throwing an Earthquake there, they were throwing a Sludge Bomb, which is a very cheap move. It's a quick move that Clodsire can reach, but they normally run Stone Edge, so it's an interesting moveset nonetheless. Another move comes through here, we'll easily be able to survive this, overfarm a decent amount of energy, and hopefully be able to debuff whatever their third Pokemon's going to be. Our Scald's going to come through. An Icy One might have knocked them out. I don't want to risk it, though. Go for the guarantees. I always like to go for the guarantees, especially when I know my Poliwrath can probably get to an Icy Wind still against anything in the back. It is a Shadow Quagsire, so this isn't an amazing thing to see, but if we get this Icy Wind off, we probably put them into range where a Focus Blast will knock them out, and that debuff is critical, because it means their Aqua Tails aren't going to do anywhere near as much damage to me. Most Quagsires do run Aqua Tail and Stone Edge, so I'm not expecting Mud Bomb here. Luckily, it is an Aqua Tail. Maybe they baited me. Obviously, it's always a possibility here, but we'll see. Are they going to throw a Mud Bomb, or are they going to throw an Aqua Tail? It is going to be the Aqua Tail, luckily. Registeel is a very bulky Pokemon. We can survive that pretty easily here. Throw a Focus Blast. They'll probably shield it, but then we'll have another Focus Blast to go very shortly after. They probably need to get 3 more Aqua Tails here at this point, and while Quagsire is spammy, it's not going to be spammy enough to be able to do that. We'll survive this one, we'll survive the next one. It would need to get to yet another one after this one, plus the one that we're at now, to be able to knock out my Registeel. My particular Registeel is very bulky, so I'm pretty happy with it. It is not the best CP, right? 1482 CP, but this is the kind of stuff it can do. It's so bulky, it can take out even things you might consider to be a Registeel counter. Alright, so the next matchup here, we're going to see a Sableye lead. This is an interesting lead, right? It's not exactly a good or bad lead for my Goodra, but they instantly swap out to their Poliwrath. This is kind of strange to me. It's like, why would you swap out here when that's not even that bad of a matchup? And I can chip this, I can swap into my own Poliwrath to absorb the energy, and hopefully keep switch advantage here. It could be a lot of things in the back, right? Might be some sort of like double water lineup, might be maybe something like a Registeel in the back. They're trying to bait out a Gligar with this, potentially. I don't know, it's hard to say. I'm surprised they swapped out so quickly. But we can absorb the energy, as I said, throw a Scald of our own, and likely just counter them down here to make it so we won't have to deal with his Poliwrath with our Registeel. That Sableye will get a farm down on us if we can keep switch advantage here, which could be a little scary, especially with the fact that my Goodra did take a decent amount of counter damage from this Poliwrath. So we're not all that healthy. We'd probably get knocked out by a Foul Play at this point, so their energy lead here is a little bit annoying. Goodra also has very little charge move pressure. It has a lot of fast move pressure, but the charge move pressure is very non-existent here. So even though we can have a lot of Dragon Breath damage into this, they don't really have to shield this Aqua Tail here, and we have to shield this to guarantee that we still have at least a little bit of wiggle room in this game. We can't rely just on our Reggie here. Reggie is a little bit clunky sometimes, especially in these matchups where the Sableye is going to take a full move, they have a shield left, and a full other Pokemon in the back. We want to try to strip shields or get this Sableye as low as possible. They end up no-shielding that, it looks like, so our Registeel is going to either have to do an ambitious lock-on down, or maybe land a Focus Blast on this later in the game. They instantly swap to their Empoleon, so not exactly the hardest answer to a Registeel, but it is something that's a little bit awkward, because they have a Hydro Cannon, a very strong move, but if we can get a debuff off before they can actually land one, we'll be in a decent spot. We'll go for the Zap Cannon. It has a 66% chance here to get a debuff, a 2/3 chance. Let's see if we can get it, and we do, luckily. It's going to make it so this next Hydro Cannon that they can land will do a lot less damage, and I want to overfarm here as much as possible, because these Steel Wings are going to do a lot less damage than the Shadow Claws that the Sableye could be throwing at me. And I also know that if I can get to a Focus Blast here before this Shadow Claws plus the Foul Play knock me out, I should be able to take this game against that Sableye. Focus Blast number 1 comes through. I know I can't lock on this down, at least not before I get to the Focus Blast, so as long as I can survive these 5 Shadow Claws and this Foul Play, I should be able to win this game. My Registeel is very bulky. Is it going to be enough? We do survive, just barely here. If I didn't overfarm with that Empoleon that was debuffed with Steel Wings, I probably would have lost this game, so I'm very happy my Registeel is able to hold on and take the match here. Alright, getting into the next match here, we're going to see that we have our Goodra lead into a Mandibuzz. This is a decent lead because we have Thunder Punch now, but the problem is our backline is also pretty good against this, right? So I'm worried that if this is what's in the lead, there's a chance there's something in the back that my backline wouldn't really want to see. Probably some sort of Registeel answer or something like that. So we have to keep that in mind. Maybe play around this and keep our Goodra around just in case there's something that our backline doesn't want to see that we need our Goodra for. They are staying in here, so we'll see what they want to do, and they're going to stay in for a minute and try to make a catch or something. I don't know. I guess just swap right there on arbitrary timing to their Steelix. I wasn't anywhere near the move on my Goodra, so I don't know quite why they swapped when they did, but we have a Poliwrath for this, right? Normally, though, when you see a Steelix safe swap, you have to expect maybe another Steel type in the back, so maybe I should have come in with my Registeel here. That's fine, though. We can get a Scald off, probably try to take a shield. They're likely going to shield this, but if they didn't, I didn't want to throw an Icy Wind and then be in a position where they can no shield and take a shield advantage from me or switch advantage. So we're guaranteeing the shield advantage here, and they go for another Psychic Fangs. I'm going to come in here with my Registeel, try to do an ambitious lock-on down. This is one of the things you have to be able to know how to do with Registeel, is know when to lock on down. They build up to what could be an Earthquake here. I normally don't respect Steelix players running Earthquake, but here at the last second, I was like, man, maybe they actually do have it. We shield up the move. They come in with Mandibuzz of all things, likely just trying to drain my energy on my Registeel. But we'll throw a move here before they can land a Dark Pulse. They were close to one. I don't want to take chip damage if I can help it, and see what comes in now. That Steelix is pretty low. I could still lock on them down, and it is actually another Steel type, as I was thinking. They're trying to bait out my Poliwrath with their Steelix, and it is an Empoleon in the back. So we can go for a Focus Blast here. We saw it in the last time we faced this Pokemon, that this isn't actually that scary of a matchup for my Registeel. We can easily just shield up, or not even shield this move, honestly, because we can save shields and maybe get to another Focus Blast here. At this point, too, that Steelix is in range where I might be able to just lock on down or Dragon Breath down with my Goodra, so I'm not too worried about that. I just need to make sure a catch does not happen here. If a catch does happen, that's game over. I saw they stopped tapping to try to make a catch here. Nice play by them, but I saw it. I can get the Focus Blast or the Zap Cannon off and take the game here against that double Steel lineup. Alright, getting into the next matchup, we're going to see a Goodra Mirror lead. This is a pretty good lead, but it's also a little awkward to see it here, because I know my backline has a lot of play into this, and I know if there is a Gligar, I'm in a lot of trouble if I try to play this matchup out, and just kind of let my Goodra go down. Because of that, I want to get some sort of energy lead on my Poliwrath, so once this move comes through, I'm going to swap once again into my Poliwrath, try to get an energy lead, and maybe get some sort of advantage out of that. This time they do counter-swap me, though, with something that's actually a hard answer. Last time we safe-swapped our Poliwrath, I think we were met with a Clodsire. This time, no, this is not a Clodsire. This is much worse. This is a Pokemon that absorbs all of our fast move damage and our charge move damage. So we'll try to spam out debuffs. Poliwrath can actually put in a lot of work in this matchup, at least a little bit more than you might expect, just by double shielding the Shadow Balls, going for Icy Winds, and making it so they don't have much damage to go. Another Icy Wind coming through. They're almost never going to shield this matchup, which is unfortunate. I'll have to go down 2 shields, but I'm kind of fine doing that if it means saving my Poliwrath. There's a chance my Wrath still has a little bit of play in the back, so that's what I want to play for right now. Keep my Poliwrath alive, and maybe use it against whatever their third Pokemon's going to be. Their Goodra's almost down, and my Registeel is not going to have to deal with this Jellicent, which honestly, it's not that bad of a matchup for it, but it can be a little bit clunky, especially when it gets down this low. A Registeel wouldn't really want to use all of its energy here. I'm going to try to keep my Poliwrath alive. A Shadow Ball is going to come through, but it is triple debuffed. It's not going to do that much damage to me. It'll put me in the red, but we still have a decent amount of health left, and we can actually try to swap here to catch a move, or just Dragon Breath them all the way down. Looks like they're building a lot of energy. We got the Snipe down. What is their third? It is a Registeel, so that is an interesting thing to see. It's not amazing, but we have so much energy left over on our Poliwrath. If we can get these 2 Scalds off, and if they shield them both, there's a chance here I could win this game. Scald number 1 coming through. We get the debuff, which is pretty nice. It means that if they do land a Focus Blast, we're in a pretty good spot on our Registeel still. And I think that was a CMP here. If they shield this, and that was a CMP, then we are absolutely set this game. We know for sure that our Registeel can survive 1 move from this Registeel, and that their Goodra is so low. My 1 lose condition right now is allowing a catch to happen. If a catch does happen on that Goodra, then I instantly lose the game. If it doesn't, though, we can just throw this Focus Blast, knock out their Registeel, and take the match. I'm thinking, they're not going to instantly swap here. I'm just going to throw my Focus Blast immediately, not play any games. They don't catch. We get the Focus Blast through against this Registeel, and we can take the game by lock-oning down the rest of that Goodra. Nice matchup here with our Registeel in the back. A absolutely terrible matchup with our Poliwrath in the middle, but just barely able to take the game. Alright, this is a decent lead. My Poliwrath would much rather be here, which is kind of tricky, but my Registeel wants to avoid this, so, I mean, I'm fine playing out the lead here, hopefully getting some sort of advantage out of this. It's probably going to be a Stone Edge, but I have seen some bait this matchup. Luckily, this is not one of them. We do shield the move properly, and they come in with a Clodsire. I'm kind of torn here. You know, I have my Poliwrath still for that Quagsire, but the problem is, if I ever kind of give up switch advantage, then that Quagsire could be against my Registeel too. So maybe just stay in this matchup, throw all of my Aqua Tails here, and try to knock out the Clodsire with my Goodra. That could be the play. Saying they no-shielded the second, I think I could probably just Dragon Breath this all the way down, come in with my Poliwrath against that Quagsire, and then use my Registeel hopefully against whatever the third Pokemon's going to be. Also, they're running ABA Sire, you know, the Quagsire, Clodsire duo, kind of fun stuff there. But yeah, we can Dragon Breath all the way down. What are they going to come in with? Probably some sort of Dragon answer here, right? It's going to be, yeah, that's definitely a Dragon answer. That is an Ice and Fairy type Pokemon known as Alolan Ninetails. I didn't see if that was Shadow or not. I've seen both variants here. This is a non-Shadow Powder Snow Alolan Ninetales, something that hasn't really seen the light of day in the Open Great League meta for a long time. So seeing this here is kind of cool. This is kind of what happens when you ban a lot of the top mons in the Great League meta. Some of these more interesting picks can come out. With that said, we still have our Registeel that can absorb all of the energy here, and then we're going to have our Poliwrath for that Quagsire. We should be in a very good spot this game. Just watch for the swap to happen here, and the second they switch, we'll switch, and try to either counter this down or throw an Icy Wind to get a lot of damage or a shield from them. It seems like also, since they are running Powder Snow, it's going to mean that they're not going to have as much fast move pressure into my Poliwrath. They're probably going to have to throw either a Dazzling Gleam or a Psyshock against me to knock out my Poliwrath. And if they are going to do that, that's a lot of energy to waste. At this point, though, we are getting kind of chipped down with this Quagsire. Maybe they could go for a Weather Ball here. Probably not yet, but after this next one, maybe I'm in Weather Ball range. But that is a non-Shadow Alolan Sandslash. Oh, that's a Ninetales, not a Sandslash. I'm so used to the Sandslashes being the Alolans in the meta right now. But yeah, if this is a Weather Ball, then we should still survive it, get an Icy Wind off, just to make our lives a little bit easier here and not have to use two moves with our Registeel. Icy Wind comes through. They might shield it, they might just let it go, knowing that it would be an uphill battle here this game. They let it go, and we can take the win here against that Powder Snow Alolan Ninetales. Alright, next matchup, we're going to see our Goodra lead into a Jellicent. This is a decent matchup. We have Thunder Punch, we have Fast Move Pressure, so unlike the Dragonair, who doesn't really have any charge moves to hit this against, we have Thunder Punch, but we have a lot less actual Fast Move Pressure than Dragonair would, so this is still a bit of an awkward matchup. Some Jellicents also bait this. It's a very risky call to make to just no-shield a Shadow Ball this early on, so I am going to shield it, but they make an extremely nice call. They do bait, and they're going to be able to get to another Shadow Ball here before we can even get to another Aqua Tail. This means they can take two shields from me early on, and my backline, at least my Registeel, is pretty strong against this, so it does kind of suck to lose that much damage or that many shields this early on. But we can see a Toxicroak come in here. This is a very scary Pokemon, a bit of a core breaker for our backline, but we have so much energy on our Goodra that we can throw these two Aqua Tails, hopefully knock them out, or draw a second shield, and then come with our Poliwrath, try to get a move off against them, and take the game here with our Registeel closing out the match. We'll just have to see what their third Pokemon's going to be. Looks like they CMP here. A Shadow Ball might not knock us out here. If they try to go for double Mud Bomb, obviously we had the CMP, so yeah, it is a Mud Bomb. We survived that, and we can get off this Icy Wind. This might be enough to knock out this Toxicroak. It is a very squishy Pokemon. We do get the KO here, which is extremely nice, and they come in with the Gligar. I'm going to try to go for the Icy Wind, but they make an incredible catch on their Jellicent here. This is kind of scary. There is an energy-loaded Gligar in the back. I have a Goodra that's pretty low, not a lot of energy on it, and then a Registeel as well, who doesn't want any part of that Gligar matchup. With that said, this is what I was talking about with Registeel. It's a very technical Pokemon. You have to know when you can go for these lock-on downs. We're going to try to fast move this all the way down to have as much energy loaded as possible against that Gligar. We can get a debuff off, there's a chance that we can survive a dig, maybe make them throw two digs against our Registeel here, and take the match that way. Zap Cannon comes through, it gets the debuff, which is fantastic, but then they don't throw on the catch, but what I'm going to try to do is still just drain them of energy. I didn't need to catch the move specifically, but since they were getting close to 100 energy, they had to throw a move anyway, so they didn't get a lot of energy out of that matchup. If we can outpace them here to this next Focus Blast before they get the Air Release, we can still take the game here with our Registeel closing out the match. We're going to get this Focus Blast off. It should get the knockout here, as long as this Gligar isn't like insanely bulky. We do get the KO with the Focus Blast, and we can take the game. The next match here is going to be against a Shadow Empoleon lead. This is a tricky matchup. They resist our fast move pressure. They can outpace us as well to more effective charge moves. We can throw Aqua Tails here on pretty much even pacing, but that's obviously resisted. The Thunder Punch is going to cost a little bit extra, but we can still bait the Aqua Tails here, right? By the time that we get to the Thunder Punch here, the Dragon Breaths have already done a lot of damage. They're likely going to have to respect this. They're probably going to have to shield. So are they going to want to let their Empoleon go this early? No, they don't, so we do get the proper bait. I could try to shield this and go for the 2-shield matchup, but at this point, I've got what I really want to out of this matchup. I can farm this down with Poliwrath, and if they swap out, maybe I can try to leverage advantage somewhere else. Looks like a Goodra does come in here, not exactly the worst thing to see. We have Icy Wind with our Poliwrath. We can throw this, get a bit more fast move pressure, and then absorb everything on our Registeel. The best thing about debuffing this matchup is, well, first of all, we get a nice catch. This is probably going to be a Thunder Punch, so a little bit of wasted energy on them. But the fact that we get that debuff off means now this Goodra is going to do 1 damage per turn with these Dragon Breaths rather than 2. It's doing absolutely nothing with the fast move pressure here. We can get a full lock-on down. I love doing this. I love getting any sort of farm down with Registeel. The worst thing about it is normally you have to throw a full nuke here, like a Focus Blast or a Zap Cannon to knock out a Pokemon. But if you can ever knock them out with a fast move, it makes it so Registeel is just that much more oppressive. We get this Focus Blast off. They're trying to drain my energy with an Empoleon. What is their third pick? It looks like it's actually a Giratina. This walls all of my fast move pressure, all of my charge move pressure. This is absolutely terrible, but I am up energy just a little bit. If I can get a debuff here, maybe it's not the end of the world. We do get a debuff. That's amazing to see, because there's a chance now that we could maybe survive a move with our Poliwrath. I'm going to shield this up. I know as long as this is not an Ominous Wind, I can get to another Zap Cannon before they're going to get to another Shadow Ball. Looks like I did shield up the Shadow Ball properly, and now that we're going to get this move off, we can hopefully draw a shield from them, get to an Icy Wind with our Poliwrath once they are going to be able to swap in here, and this Icy Wind will be more than enough to knock out. As long as we can survive the Shadow Ball, we should be able to. We got the debuff, it's a non-Shadow Poliwrath, and we barely hang on. We have the Icy Wind, we throw it against this Giratina, and we're going to be able to take the game against the Giratina in the back against our Registeel. Very scary Pokemon to see, a very inaccessible Pokemon too, but a fun one to see nonetheless. Alright, next matchup here, we're going to see our Goodra lead. Oh, this is terrible. This is probably one of the worst leads we could see. The most anti-Dragon Pokemon in the game. Luckily, not a Charm user, another Powder Snow user. I save swap my Poliwrath, and they come in with a Swampert. This is not normally what you'd want to bring into an energy advantage Poliwrath, right? I don't know why you'd bring this in here unless your backline is extremely weak to Poliwrath, or maybe it was like a misclick. I don't know. But Swampert does come in. They do go for the Earthquake, so they do have shield advantage now, but we can farm this all the way down, have energy to go against their backline. Whatever comes in here, we can either throw a Scald, an Icy Wind, probably debuff them, chip them down a lot, and it is just the A9 that comes back in. I'll go for the Scald to guarantee a lot of damage, or to guarantee the shield. I don't want to play any games. We do get the shield there. Now we can have our Registeel to wall this off, and as long as their backline isn't just another hard answer to our Dragon type, we should be in a very favorable position. We'll shield up the move here. It is a Dazzling Gleam. That's crazy. Dazzling Gleam on the A9 is kind of a cool moveset, but I've seen a lot more Psyshock, honestly. I think Psyshock is a little bit more consistent as an anti-fighter coverage move, but Dazzling Gleam does have a lot more raw nuke potential. Their final Pokemon here is going to be a Poliwrath, so yeah, they didn't really have a hard Poliwrath answer of their own this game, so I can see why it was a little bit of a tricky safe swap for them to deal with. We're going to try to strip this down as much as we can. I could have gone for a debuff here, but I knew just going for the raw damage will make it so I can just fast move them down with my Goodra and with my Poliwrath. Icy Wind is not going to knock us out here, right? It's going to do a decent amount of damage, but it's going to come nowhere near knocking us out. We can Dragon Breath them all the way down. Next matchup here, we're going to see our Goodra lead into a Giratina. So this time we're seeing this in the lead. This is much better, but is still a tricky safe swap here, kind of, right? We expect when you see a normal type safe swap like this, they're trying to bait out your fighter, right? So I don't really want to come in with my my Poliwrath here. I want to save that for the back. We'll try to build up energy with our Goodra, get them into Focus Blast range with the Dragon Breath pressure, and then come in with our Registeel here to absorb the energy. I've seen a lot of these running Trailblaze, just like this one. Not running Crunch means that I can absorb their energy pretty well. These fast moves, though, it does have Mudshot, right? Mudshot will add up quite a bit, but it's not going to do anywhere near as much as they probably wanted to do at this point. Another Trailblaze, so they're going to boost their attack quite a bit. We'll go for the Focus Blast. If they want to shield this, they can be my guest at this point. I'm not really that worried about Greedent with any of my Pokemon. I more so just didn't want to give it some sort of advantage where they would still be out of range of me knocking them out with one Focus Blast, so that's why I did a little bit of extra Dragon Breath pressure in the lead. They do come back in here with their Giratina. If they want to throw a move at me to knock me out, they can also do that, but then I can probably Dragon Breath them all the way down. Looks like they don't throw a move. I can still just shield this, Dragon Breath this down, and have so much energy loaded against whatever they come in with at the back. I also still have a lot of energy, a lot of health on my Registeel, and I have my Fighter, which I'm guessing they were trying to bait out with that Greedent still in the back. What is their third pick going to be, or are they going to come back in with Greedent? We'll just have to see. It is going to be a Carbink that comes in. Carbink is generally a good answer to Dragon types, but we're kind of loaded here, right? We're going to be able to get 3 Aqua Tails off before they're going to be able to farm us down, and that's going to put them pretty low. Almost in range where I could probably just counter them down or maybe land an Icy One with my Poliwrath and take the game that way. Also, this energy is going to be absorbed with my Registeel. Now that I know what their whole team is, I'm just going to align my Regi to this, get it so they don't have any sort of energy against my Poliwrath, and then Poliwrath should be able to counter down the rest of this match. Looks like they do get a nice rock throw down against me, but if they throw energy here, they're going to be dry. Looks like they threw their Moonblast right when they got it. It's not going to do anywhere near as much as they'd probably hope. I could throw a Focus Blast here, I could shield, but I know that just investing in my Poliwrath will win me this game. They're dry on their Carbink, there's not much they can do there, so just saving a shield countering this all the way down, and shielding a potential Trailblaze here I think is going to be my best play. If they bait me with Body Slam, that means they're not going to ramp up their attack. If they throw the Trailblaze, they won't get to another one, so we'll be in a very good spot to counter this down, have energy to go against that Carbink, and if they come back in and they don't top left, we'll just go for the Icy Winds, try to knock them out with fast move pressure and with charge move pressure, and we should be able to take the game here with our Poliwrath closing out the match. Alright, let's get into the next match here. We're going to see our Goodra lead into a Mandibuzz. This is a fantastic lead matchup. We have Thunder Punch for this, and our whole team has play into that Mandibuzz. They safe swap a Shadow Steelix here, which isn't exactly the best Pokemon against a Registeel, but if they do bait us twice with Psychic Fangs or something, and they do have Earthquake, there's a chance they can flip Switch Advantage without taking too much damage with their Steelix. So we're going to have to keep that in mind. If they do build up to the Earthquake, I will respect it, because I don't want to lose Switch Advantage and just get one shot right at the start of the match here. We do shield up a Psychic Fangs, unfortunately. If they bait us again, and they actually do have Earthquake, they can probably take Switch Advantage here, without our Registeel even landing a single move against this, so we have to keep that in mind. Another Focus Blast coming through. It does get shielded as well, so I'm really thinking right now, they probably do have Earthquake. I don't want to take an Earthquake and just get one shot. That would be absolutely embarrassing here. We'll shield up this next move. It's another Psychic Fangs, almost even more embarrassing, shielding up 2 baits. I'll catch the next move. This could be an Earthquake. I know at this point my Goodra might not be super important. They safe swapped a Steel type, right? So there might be another Steel in the back. So just keeping our Registeel around to have a Focus Blast to go against that, or maybe to be able to Zap Cannon that Mandibuzz, I think is going to be pretty important. Aqua Tail does come through here. It puts them pretty low. In range where I could probably counter them down before they get to another Psychic Fangs. We'll just see what they want to do, if they want to stay in or not. We do get the counters through. It knocks them out. What are they going to come in with here? It might be that Mandibuzz. It might be their third. Or they might just top left. We can take the win here in the final match of the day. Alright everyone, thank you so much for watching. I have absolutely loved using Registeel here in the Remix Cup. It has been one of my favorite Pokemon in previous metas. You know, kind of before they added a lot of the, other fighters other than Medicham. You know, when Annihilate and Poliwrath, Vigoroth, Skeleturge, all of these things came into the meta that destroyed Registeel, it kind of made it hard to use. But in this Remix meta where a lot of those things are banned, it feels like it's kind of safe again. There's still the Glygars, there's still the fighters that you have to deal with, but it still has a decent amount of play. Thank you so much for watching this video. I stream Pokemon Go PvP nearly every day at twitch.tv/itsaxton, so if you want to see this kind of content live, make sure to check me out there. I'm also going to upload a lot more videos, so subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Alright, thank you again. See you in the next one. Take care, and goodbye.